Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We are live on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. If you want to, you can hit the subscribe button, hit the bell and join us weekdays from 4 o'clock. Or indeed, if you download the PLZ Soccer app, you can watch it at your leisure as well. And even Ruffy, at 70 years of age coming up, can go onto his Sky, hit the apps, hit YouTube and watch the programme on his big telly, as so many people are doing, Ruffy, and we've got to thank them. The number's growing. We're now exclusively on YouTube.
Yeah, you're right, grown and grown. It's absolutely amazing. You know, people, even the people getting to us.
Yeah.
It's fantastic from all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just couldn't find the right word to say that.
Do you know, I actually thought...
that was a pause
no.
This is it.
This is it. I actually thought, he's gone. This is it.
I thought he was going croaky there.
Do you know that one when you just actually, he just sits there and then it's like a Peter Sellers moment. He just sits there and then people turn around and go, he's gone.
No,
you know?
I just couldn't find the right word to say.
Okay, that's
I have
fine.
to thank everybody, you know, that is, you're right. You know, and there are so many people out there, and I keep talking about the people I meet in the street, because that's the real people that phone in and watch the show and everything, and it's great that they all love it, enjoy it.
And for the benefit of people who live far, far away, you're real people too.
Yes.
But the ones that Ruffy meets are the real people that he meets in the street and the supermarket, where he spends most of his time just going round in and with an empty trolley. But nevertheless, I have to honestly apologise to so many people who sent lovely messages yesterday about Walter Smith. There was just too many to read, all with the same sentiment of loss, sadness, and of course tributes to him, and little snippets of memories that people had recalled when Walter, maybe for a fleeting minute of their day, just made them feel special. That was his great quality. So I tried to read out as many as possible on the YouTube feed, and because so many people are now using the app and messaging us immediately, I read out as many as I possibly could. And again, today it's just flooded in. Brian in Malaysia says, thanks for yesterday's very touching tribute to Walter Smith. With his obvious success at Rangers, it overshadowed all the great work he did at my lifelong team, Dundee United, as a coach and a highly respected right-hand man to Jim McLean. Some of the stories of Watty's long tenure at Tannadice are legendary, and I'm sure many United fans feel the sadness and loss that everyone associated with him is feeling right now. Thank you for treating his departure with the greatest of respect and warmth. Thank you for that, Brian. I think a lot of United fans will look back at Walter Smith and his association with Jim McLean and what they did at Dundee United with great fondness. It's just that because he achieved, I think, so much time at Rangers, that it kind of overshadowed all the great achievements of being a whisker away with Jim McLean from a European Cup final.
Yeah, it was. Listen, he was fantastic at Dundee United. You know, and I was reading a lot of stuff yesterday, a lot of articles. It was great to read it all, and some of the things that I was obviously too young, but it was great to see that Jim McLean, Jock Stein and Sir Alex Ferguson all had him as a number two. I thought that was a great restart. And that's the best guys in the game ever. You know, had him as a number two. So he was trusted as a coach. Obviously played with Dundee United and then went on as a coach here. So a legend at Dundee United. But I think obviously a lot of people remember him as a man in his own right, as a manager at Rangers. But a lot of great tributes paid to him, and rightly so yesterday.
Yeah, and of course it was great hearing your own personal stuff. I was able to add my own warmth about Walter and how he helped me, and Hugh as well. And Hugh today, as a journalist, he has such a wonderful way of, you know, telling a story and painting a picture in the paper, in the Herald, just reflecting on Walter Smith. Obviously he'd spoken to Sir Alex yesterday, as we mentioned, Ruffy, but I did actually send him a text, because quite simply there was one little line. You know what we're like, we love a bit of banter. If you're Scottish and you like someone, you absolutely slaughter them, which is why I leather you on a regular basis, Ruffy.
Very happy with that.
But he had a great line, the tougher the banter, the bigger the love between the two. And I think he was talking about, you know, Sir Alex and Walter, they would noise each other up and dig each other up about various things that they'd achieved in their life. But it was all out of the respect. There was the underlying love for each other.
Yeah, as Tam just said there, the magnitude and the amount of people who came into touch with him at some stage. I mean, I picked up a couple of the local papers this morning, and it's a long, long time since I've seen the front 6 pages and the back 6 pages of the newspaper filled with people who knew him and wanted to pay a tribute to him. It was absolutely amazing, and all the papers covered that, and that just shows you how many people he came in touch with.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant show yesterday, says Eddie Montgomery. Such a touching tribute for a legend of Scottish football. Jim Ross, who come up to me at Tynecastle at the weekend. Jim's a great lad, watches the programme on a regular basis, tries to keep us right with stats, says well done to everyone at PLZ on Walter Smith. The show covered everything that was good about Walter, and I love seeing the tributes coming from other clubs and from all over the world. And I think the good thing about it, I mean, we tried our best with our resources, and the team worked so hard to put as much into it as possible, and full marks to them all. But right across radio and television, all the broadcasters and the written press, you couldn't help but just read it and suck it all up, just to try again to look back and embrace some of those great days with Walter.
Yeah, listen, I seen a lot of little videos yesterday on social media. The one with Tam Cowan was a cracker.
Yeah, brilliant.
With Ali, that was brilliant. The one with Chick Young, where he slaughters wee Chick after him slotting St Brian Laudrup and Basil Wally wasn't good enough for Europe. All those little videos started to come to fruition yesterday. I was watching them all last night, and it just showed you what a great sense of humour. I didn't know Walter well. I met him a couple of times. I was in his company a couple of times and got chatting to him, but I didn't know him as well as probably you guys. But it just shows you what a dry sense of humour he had. He always had this tough exterior as a Rangers manager, and you looked at him and you thought, he would get right through a player, if they stepped out of line. But he had that kind of softer touch and that sense of humour, and very, I'm trying to think of the word, very disarming. When you look at some of the things that he won, he was a top man, and I just rest in peace, really.
Yeah, no surprise actually. It brought back memories of, for me, Tommy Burns, because I mean, the three of them together. I mean, even meetings and sitting together before they'd even get the squad together, Ruffy, Tam, Coisty, Walter Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, it must have been a riot.
Yeah, they were a riot together, and they didn't miss anybody. If anybody said anything about any of the individuals, but in a humorous. If somebody had said something about them, they'd wait until there was a meeting, and then somebody would go into the meeting, and then they'd nab them, and just have a wee bit of banter with them, and their humour was there. The three of them were just so dry in their humour. Obviously, touched on it with Tommy when I was at Celtic, and then with Coisty any time you met them, but they were just a joy to be around.
Yeah.
They had all their football head on. But they also were just, very, very well liked with everybody.
Yeah, well, I'm delighted to say that Jonathan Burns, Tommy's son, joins us from America, because Jonathan is out there as a coach now. Jonathan, great to see you. I think I can hear your dad saying, "Hey, get that beard shaved off, by the way. What are you doing? Who do you think you are?" But I'm delighted you're here. In sad circumstances, I know you would have come into contact with him, and your dad would have been talking about him, and the stories of Walter passing away it just caught the whole nation yesterday.
Yeah, 100%, Peter. When I woke up, it was the first thing that kind of flashed up on my phone from the updates, and so sad. I knew he wasn't keeping well, but you're never expecting that news. Devastated for Ethel and two sons and the grandkids.
Yeah, and of course, we always talk about the great noise ups that your dad, he loved the noise up, and he was in the right company with Walter and McCoist.
No, 100%. I think it was the bane of Walter's life, to be honest with you. It was funny because when he got brought on to the Scottish coaching staff, Peter, I think everybody looked at it as, bringing somebody in from the old kind of Bertie Vogts era, but also a Celtic man. And I don't think it was that at all. They bumped into each other at dinner. And that's how it came about. Walter just kind of said to him, "Listen, do you want to stay on?" And from that, I think my dad and Ali done their best to make every day as difficult as possible for him.
Yeah, I was going to say that to you. Your dad must have been the only guy I know to get away with falling asleep in one of Walter's team talks.
No, 100%. It was. I'd fallen asleep. I think also as well, Walter sent a car for him one night. I think they were going for a night out with the Scotland staff or something. And I think my dad was 2 hours late or something like that. And my mum's phoning him going crazy, and Walter's phoning him going mental. And my dad was just like, listen, they can't start without me, so the car will just need to sit there. So I honestly think with Walter, my dad just absolutely loved him to bits, and there was such a mutual respect there, and it's so sad to hear the news. He was a brilliant man.
Yeah, and the last word here that I'm going to share with you was something that you, your dad and I absolutely just burst into tears laughing when we were sharing it. We used to go to, you'll know Matt's clothes shop in Clarkson, and we used to sit in the back with a cup of tea, and he told me about the day that Coisty and Walter were obviously leaving to go to Rangers. So he phoned them up and said, listen, we're a trio. This is a management. When am I coming? I mean, why am I not getting the call? And I couldn't stop laughing. And Walter was in absolute stitches because, he thought, what an ultimate noise up. Can you imagine it? McCoist, Smith, and by the way, here's our other assistant at Ibrox, Tommy Burns.
I think it's one of those ones as well, Peter. He actually walked in to the, I think the story goes that he walked into the Celtic dressing room with 2 suitcases that were empty, but started saying his goodbyes to the Celtic team, saying that he's got an offer he couldn't refuse from Rangers, and wishing them all the best. But it's a shame because Walter was. I spoke to him last year. Every time I spoke to him, Peter, it was to maybe ask if he could do a little bit for charity or whatever the case may be. And it speaks volumes, Peter, of him, that not once did he say no. Every single time I asked him to do anything, it was absolutely Jonathan, and just let me know when, and just it shows you the incredible character of the man,
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fitting tribute and a lovely way to finish our chat with you, Jonathan. I hope how's the coaching going? Are you enjoying it over there? I think we've lost him, but great to hear from Jonathan there. Absolutely fantastic to hear from him, and lovely fitting tribute. And you can tell, listen, we always talk sometimes about the great divide. Football brings people together.
But also the other thing it does, Peter, is, we keep looking at managers who are maybe struggling a wee bit, and the first thing you say is, he needs his own men round about him. And that, I think that epitomises a top manager when he gets the right assistants. He knows the people who know the game, like Walter knew Coisty, and he knew Tommy, and that's who that's who he fed off of, because they'd done so much in the game. That shows you a big respect that he had for 2 of them, and the 2 of them had for Walter.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not going to start tonight again, are you? Honestly, you're getting better, aren't you? By the way,
13 minutes is not bad.
It's not bad, by the way. Everybody battered you.
No.
Those people saying, why is there no podcast?
I've just said 3,000 strepsils, so hopefully I'll be coughing.
Yeah, I mean, the story. I mean, that's great. The story about they going into the Celtic dressing room with the 2 briefcases and saying, they want me there. That would be. Can you imagine the banter there?
No, listen. I think the banter between McCoy, Burns and Walter Smith must have been fantastic. And I speak to Gary Caldwell and Kenny Miller, guys that were in the Scottish set up at that time, and they loved it. It was like a club atmosphere. They looked forward to going away with Scotland because of those 3 guys. The training was great. They worked hard. As Ruffy says, there was always a time to get the series head on, but wee quizzes at night, and it just brought the whole squad together. And I think it was a masterstroke from Walter Smith to bring Tommy Burns in. Yeah,
absolutely. Listen, thank you to so many people, and also yesterday and today, I think a lot of people have continued in that rich, positive vein of being, great on the YouTube feed. Sometimes there are people who just let us down on the YouTube feed, and we have to obviously mention that. But yesterday and today, so many people continuing that theme of tributes to Walter Smith, and it was well worthy of it as well. We're going to be speaking in the next, maybe 15-20 minutes, we'll be speaking to Ali Begg, an old friend of mine. Ali is out and about as a producer in Europe. He was in Qatar, producing sports shows and presenting them, Ruffy. He's now brought out a book called European Nights, tribute to Aberdeen. He's a big Aberdeen fan. He's going to come on and have us a wee chat about some of the great games that he's witnessed. They've released a book of the great games. Obviously, quite a few of them have Fergie at the helm.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, every club has a history. It doesn't matter what club it is. You know, they've all got something to write about, something the supporters will want to try and remember through the years. And certainly Aberdeen, like all these other clubs, have got some fantastic evenings. And it's amazing when Aberdeen get a win, isn't it? They all come out the woodwork.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, we'll leather him for that, because I have looked at all the games that he's talking about, and the last game is Rijeka, and I'm thinking, oh come on, it's only 2 weeks ago,
right.
You know. But nevertheless, it'd be good to hear from Ali, because you know, we've got Aberdeen, Dundee United. We try and do as many of the clubs as possible, cover them. We had a 1-to-1 with Xander Clark of St Johnstone, talking about the great double from last season. Ruffy and Alec Ray is on our YouTube channel talking about that League Cup victory in 1971, 50 years ago. Ruffy got emotional at the weekend, just recalling his teammates and the staff and everybody who celebrated Partick Thistle winning the League Cup. And you know, it's something not to be forgotten, and it's a great programme if you get a chance to watch it on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. It's called That Game, with Ruffy and Alec Ray, the Partick Thistle captain 50 years ago. Incredible. So over and above all that, thank you very much to all the messages. Let's have a look at what we love talking about, which is quite simply football that takes place here and now. Here's the fixtures for tonight. Really looking forward to it. I'm going to hightail it to Easter Road. Hopefully, if the rain doesn't get too heavy and the driving conditions are not mental, I always like to head through to the capital city. It's Hibs against Celtic. There's Dundee against Ross County, Livingston against Dundee United, Motherwell St Mirren. Andrew Shiney will be down there at Ibrox for us for Rangers Aberdeen, and St Johnstone against Hearts. So it's a good full card tonight, Ruffy.
Yeah, I hope the weather's a bit better than it was last night. It was just everything last night. Rain, wind, everything. It just spoiled the game.
Rain, wind, what else was there?
Just sleet, snow.
Thunder lightning.
Yeah, leaves.
M8 motorway blocked, diversion. Took me
Cop
about an hour to
26.
get back. No, it was just a diversion. It took me down to Carlisle and then back up again. You know, so I never get hit me. I
actually thought, what way are you going? You've met somebody.
But no, I hope the conditions are, because Tamil like pretty, but see when it's windy,
It kills the game.
It kills the game completely. It becomes a lottery, and all fairness to both sets of players last night, they coped with it. But so I'm hoping tonight we see good football, you know, good conditions, because I think that just enhances it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't get any better. Ibrox, Rangers against Aberdeen. It will be an emotional night. Rangers fans will be there. You know, the one thing about these nights is sometimes people just like something to hold on to, a memory, and they want to read more and more about Walter and the glory years, and that match programme tonight will be... You wouldn't be able to get a hold of it, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be a very emotional night. Listen, a big loss for Scottish football, but you know, for a lot of Rangers supporters, he's their greatest ever manager. You know, gave them their greatest ever times. You know, got them within a whisker of winning the European Cup. You know, so listen, he's very, very highly thought of everyone, but particularly everyone at Rangers. So that'll be a poignant night tonight. The programme will be a lot of stories in there. Maybe the video, the big screens before the game. There'll be a lot of memories coming up with Walter Smith. So it's up to the players. It'll be difficult. It's up to the players to try and focus on the game and try and give, you know, Walter and his family the best send-off, and that would be 3 points.
Yeah, and I think the other thing about it, which a lot of people, I mean, listen, when Scott Brown takes to a field, the Rangers fans don't need to envisage seeing red. They'll see red tonight. But take a wee step back, because Scott Brown was glowing in his praise of Walter Smith in you know, sad times, but he reflected on Walter and his relationship with him.
Yeah, it's so sad, to be fair. And Walt was a fantastic man, and he was the one that gave me my first Scotland cap many years ago, and I worked with him very, very closely coming through Scotland, and I've got huge respect for him as well, and especially what he done with Tommy Burns as well, and Carney's Coffin. at the time. So he tried to bridge the gap as well between the two clubs, which was fantastic at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, he did mention, Scott Brown, about what Walter said to him on his Scotland debut. I don't know if we've got that clip. I know we heard that one yesterday, that one that you just watched there. We'll get back to it shortly on Scott Brown. But as far as Stephen Glass is concerned, he was full of praise for Walter.
He came across a very humble man. He wanted the best for his club, his country, any club that he was representing at the time. He had a class and a dignity about him as well, I think. And I think that's why so many people from multiple clubs are showing the love for him that they are just now. And I think the respect from this club in particular, when Sir Alex Ferguson takes him as an assistant to Manchester United and the Scotland national team, I think that tells you everything you need to know about him.
Yeah, nice little touch there. And Scott Brown on Walter's message and his Scotland debut.
He gave me a bit of advice once when it was my first cap. He went, "Wee man," he went, "go on and cause carnage." And I was like, "Oh yeah, thanks very much." He went, "You're going on up front." He went, "Go and cause carnage and get yourself a goal." And to be fair, on the day I scored the goal, but it was offside and it came off, and it was a fantastic occasion as well. And it was at the time you're looking, and it was probably one of the first times that I met Walter when I was going into the Scotland squad as well.
Yeah, lovely touch there from Scott Brown. Football actually just puts it all into perspective. You think there's relationships between managers and players that are not actually what is happening in real life. Great respect from Scott Brown towards Walter Smith. Of course, Rangers want the 3 points. Nothing better as an incentive. Aberdeen riddled with injuries.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that might be up against them. Injuries to people in really, really important places in their game. They got a shutout at the weekend, but they're going to a different place tonight. I think they'll be under pressure for a long, long time. Rangers, I mean, everybody keeps saying Rangers aren't playing to what they were last year, but they're still winning, they're still grinding out results. They're not hammering anybody. So I would think they'll still be comfortable enough tonight to beat Aberdeen 2-0.
Oh, confident already, Robbie. 2-0 on this one. Of course, Rangers 3 points clear at the top at the moment. They're 4 points ahead of Celtic. And as well as, the injuries that Aberdeen have, Ryan Kent could be back. That would be a huge bonus, Tam.
Yes, it would be. I don't think he's in the best of form this season, but maybe the little rest would freshen him up a bit. If he comes back in, it just adds competition for those front areas. Morelos, Roof, Sakala come on at the weekend, so they've got great options in there. I agree with Ruffy. I think that Aberdeen have got too many injuries at the back. I was at the game at the weekend there. I think they lost 2 of the back 4, and the boy McKenzie, the left back's already out. So I think they'll be a makeshift back 4, and you don't want to be going to Ibrox, particularly on a night like tonight, with a makeshift back 4. So I think it'll be a long night for Aberdeen. I think it'll be 3-0 to Rangers.
Yeah, 3-0. Did you go 3-0 in the predictor?
Yep.
Yeah, oof, you've gone for it big time.
Yeah, I think Rangers will put them in the sword tonight.
And it's the first time I've had a chance to chat to you about it. You're because obviously we call Monday's show the coughing show. We didn't really get any sentences out of you. What about you're perilously close to the bottom now?
I am. No, listen, I think it's interesting now because all Hugh's been dragged in, and it's Gabs has had a good weekend. So I think come this Saturday, I think you might find there'll be 3 or 4 players round about the bottom.
Yeah. Listen, as far as Aberdeen are concerned, that back line, it's makeshift to say the least. I mean, Considine was a blow, and then slowly but surely they just couldn't get a win in 10 games. Somehow managed to get a win over Hibs, which steadied the ship, and certainly a lot of people were rallying behind Stephen Glass. But even the manager's realistic about how difficult it's going to be with what he has available in the back line.
We're bare bones at the back, but we've shown a willingness and an ability to overcome that, and we'll deal with any obstacles we get thrown. Again, we didn't look for excuses when we weren't getting victories. We'll not look for them when we're going to Ibrox with a depleted group. We'd all acknowledge that, but again, it's a challenge we're looking forward to.
It's a big call. I mean, you've got Rangers to win it. I've got Rangers to win it by a couple of goals. You've got them by 3. But the good news is, listen, Aberdeen have got 1 win. So that we pride ourselves here, Ruffy, on getting fans and players and managers from all over the place. We've had so many people in one-to-ones and so many people coming on live on the programme. And because Aberdeen have got one victory, we thought, to hell with it, let's get an Aberdeen super fan on. And we might as well go mental. Let's get Doug Rugby on tomorrow and then Mark McGee the next day, okay?
I'm surprised they're not phoning to come on.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Listen, Ali Begg loves the Dons and he's a great lad and I've known him for a long, long time. He's got a book out called European Nights. If you're a Dons fan, this is an absolute must. Ali, it must have been a joy, a labour of love, writing about your favourite team.
Yeah, Peter, thank you very much for having me on the show, first and foremost. I've loved the process from the minute we started to the minute we finished. It's just been absolutely fantastic the whole way through. Some great stories, spoke to some incredible people, heroes of mine from when I was growing up, and following the team from the early 80s all the way through. So it's, as you said, it's been an absolute labour of love.
I've got to ask you this, Ali, before we get into just there's a couple of great passages in the book, but I want to talk about the current team. What's your feelings right now? Because taking a fair bit of flack, there's been real pressure on the manager.
Yeah, I was so happy he got the win on Saturday, a much deserved win as well. He just looked a lot better with the three at the back. He looked a lot more solid. I know we've got issues tonight defensively, but I'm hoping we can cope it. We naturally left our games against Rangers at Ibrox anyway, so anything could happen later. But I was absolutely thrilled that he got that win. It was a must-needed win because there was so much scrutiny on the club and Stephen Glass. So I just hope that win will mean now that we can kick on.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading your book, Ali, because fortunately for me, at that time I was a schoolboy and I was going to games regularly, and we used to go up to Aberdeen and think to ourselves, if you get a draw at Pittodrie, you were absolutely ecstatic because Aberdeen were battering everybody. But the European nights were special under Fergie, and I always think there's a moment in a team's learning curve where they take an absolute doing and then they learn from it. And one of them was Liverpool, and you've got that in the book. It's such a good and interesting passage.
People have actually already asked me, Peter, why did you write about Liverpool? Because it's hardly one of our most memorable nights. But what I actually decided to do was use that game to make people understand the bigger picture into Alex Ferguson's mind, because that defeat actually led to us winning eventually the Cup Winners' Cup. And so Alex Ferguson learned so much from those Liverpool games that he was able to use in games going forward in Europe. And one of the biggest examples of that is that he made sure that there were absolutely no distractions whatsoever from outside of Pittodrie when it came to big European games, because everybody was talking about that Liverpool game. It was billed as the Battle of Britain. The demand for tickets was unbelievable, and everybody got wrapped up in the game, which might have actually taken away some of their attention towards the game. So Sir Alex Ferguson learned very valuable lessons from those two games against Liverpool.
Yeah, and Ruffy knows this only too well, and I'm not being in any way xenophobic when I suggest this, Ali, but way back in the 80s, whenever a Scottish side came up against an English team, the English media went absolutely mental. It was almost as if the Scottish team was going to be cannon fodder for them, but boy, did Ipswich Town go back down the road with their tail between their legs.
Yeah, that was really fun putting that chapter together. And I was really lucky, Peter, because I was able to speak to the wonderful late Paul Mariner many years ago about that specific game for my own blog page. And he very kindly, before he passed away, gave me permission to use that text in my book. So it was very interesting to get it from an opponent's perspective, which is also what I've done throughout the book. I've spoken to Johnny Metgood from Real Madrid. I spoke to Mr. Goodmanson from Watershire. And so there was a lot of themes of that for the book as well, speaking to the opponents of Aberdeen, because I'd like to think people would find that interesting as well. Yeah, 2 quick points before you go, Ali. What was your favourite Dons game? Oh, Real Madrid. In this cup final in Gothenburg. I was very lucky to be there as a 10-year-old to that game. And before that, if you were to ask me about the greatest game at Pittodrie, Bayern Munich 1983, when we knocked them out in the quarterfinals. An unforgettable night and experience.
Yeah, no surprise that I'll tell you my favourite player in the Aberdeen side was Gordon Strachan. I just thought he was an absolute genius. I've got to ask you, you'll have seen so many great players in the red of the Dons. Who's your favourite?
Oh, Willie Miller.
Yeah.
And he still remains my all-time hero. I was so lucky that he gave up his time to come to my launch, as did 5 of the Gothenburg legends last week. So to be in Willie's company now as an adult, when I idolised him so much as a child, for me it's almost indescribable. It's just unbelievable. You know, I can call Mr. Miller my friend.
Yeah,
One
absolutely. It's a great point you make, Ali, because he's written the foreword for the book. I know, Ali, you've called me on many occasions and said the same thing that I'm about to say now. When Willie Miller runs into Alan Hansen, Shengelia runs away, and all Ruffy has to do is take Shengelia out, and we somehow can defeat Russia and go into the next stage of the World Cup. Why did Ruffy not take Shengelia out, Ali?
Oh, Peter, I've asked the same question. Oh, Ruffy, seriously, why?
Absolutely brilliant. Ali, listen, best of luck with the book. Thanks, will guys. Stay in touch. I'm absolutely delighted that you've got the book out there. It is superb. It's Ali Begg, and it's a foreword from Willie Miller. It's called European Nights. If you're a Dons fan, you will love it. If you're a neutral and you love football, it's well worth reading because there are some real golden nuggets in it as well. Ali, best of luck to you in the future. Good to see you're doing well across there in Europe as well.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me on. Lovely to see you all. Come on, the Dons tonight.
There you are. There's a bit of partisan. Come on, the Dons. It's going to be a tough one. Ali knows that, but that's great to hear from him. Hey, you think of the great games, Ruffy. Oh, it's going to be a great read.
I mean, when you're part of any particular club that's affected with European glory nights, Aberdeen are up there. Yeah. You know, some of the teams that were up there, and we always talk about Rangers and Celtic's glory nights, and Aberdeen had their glory nights, and even going further back, Hibs had glory nights as well with Pat Stanton, the Dunfermlines, who were beating everybody. So every club has got, you know, an era, particularly in Europe, that the fans just remember forever and ever.
Yeah, and in true Aberdonian fashion, he's asked me for the $32.99 and postage and packaging.
I was going to say, you're looking at a freebie after, aren't you?
No, I'm only winding him up. Great to hear from Ali, a good old soldier and a football fan. So, from Rangers to Aberdeen, I think we've all got Rangers to win tonight. It's going to be one of those nights where I hope both sets of fans, I think there will be a minute's silence. I hope both sets of fans, if indeed there are many Aberdeen fans in there, just show the respects to the great man.
I actually prefer the applause.
Do you?
Yeah, I think the applause sends out a better message, because, you know, there's the odd noise here and there, and it just drowns everything out.
Yeah.
And I think it sounds great.
Maybe I expect too much of people's decency just to mark their respect with a minute's silence. But listen, it'll not deflect away from what'll be an emotional night. Superb. Hibs against Celtic, Easter Road. The rain's belting down at the moment, Tam. You've got to drive carefully, especially in that car that you're driving. It's going to be an absolute belter of a game. You think Hibs maybe get something from this?
Yeah, I do. Listen, I just think that it will set up better for Hibs tonight. I think when Hibs have got to go and the onus is on Hibs to go and break someone down, they struggle. I think Celtic will go 4-3-3 and they'll go and attack and try and win the game.
Yeah.
And I think that will suit Hibs. It will suit Boyle on the break, Nisbet, maybe Murphy. And I think it'll be an open game. I think there'll be plenty of goals. So I think Hibs, if they play well and defend well, I think they're capable of getting something out of the game. They've got a great record against Celtic Easter Road. I think seven years since Celtic won there. So they've got to take confidence from that as well. And I'm still not convinced about Celtic at the back. I know they've had 3 clean sheets, but I'm not convinced if we're up against a bit of pace, whether that be Boyle up against Starfelt. And I think they can get something out of the game. I'm going through it obviously for Hibs TV, so I'm looking forward to it. And I think Hibs can get a draw. I'm going to go for 2 each. Yeah,
I know Jack Ross shares your view on this because he expects Celtic to come and attack.
What they have is a real attacking prowess. I think they're encouraged to play the game that way by the manager. I think they've shown that the manner of the performances all through the season, not just recently, and we're aware of that. I expected, even when I looked, a few weeks ago about this fixture, I expected it to be an open one. Nothing about it changed my mind in that respect. I think the games against Easter Road, the two teams have been good in recent years. And the way in which Celtic are playing at the moment, the way in which we have played most of the season, with the exception of the last couple of weeks, should point towards it being like that.
Yeah, Ryan Porteous back from suspension. McGregor's out suspended. Kyle McGuinness expected to be out with a groin injury. Ruffy, how do you see this one going?
I think Celtic will win this one. I think.
Oh,
Celtic,
hey, by the way, this is two.
second one
This
in
is
a row.
two in the week. Are you okay?
Two in a week. No, I'm not impressed with Hibs in the last 3 games. I think Tam's putting up a good defence, for them to take. But if you get beat 3-0 at home by not a team of Celtic's calibre, then I can't see them digging themselves out of this. I get what Tam's talking about. They've got pace and everything, but I think Celtic momentum now of not losing goals as the confidence is going through the team, and up front they've got 3 guys that are going to terrorise anybody. And the way the Hibs defence is playing just now, I'm going to go Celtic to win 2-0.
Yeah, I'm just hearing, Ruffy, I think it's some of the people through there are taking the painting off out of the Alan Rough suite at Easter Road. I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't know why too. That's twice in the week. I don't think we've ever had you saying Hibs would lose twice in the week.
I'm just disappointed the way they're playing. I don't think Nisbet can play up there himself. I don't think he's busy enough. I don't think he's got enough pace to play up there himself. So that's why you're relying on Boyle. And he's went off the Boyle a wee bit. That's quite a good pun.
It's really good for you.
Wow. So no, I'm sticking with Celtic to win 2-0.
Of course, you mentioned the defence there, and that's something that I think the Celtic manager Ange Postecoglou wants to see people giving them more credit for.
I know people keep harping on about it, but we obviously got playing for 2 very good teams in Betis and Leverkusen who put 4 past us. But aside from that, teams have struggled to score against us. So I don't think it's been that much of an issue as others have made out. But from my perspective, our defensive work is as a collective.
Well, as far as assessing the 2 sides, Ruffy, I think Hibs are poor. They're on a losing streak at the moment, not playing well, and I think Celtic will batter them. So there you are. There you go. I'm going to give you my
batter than the you talk
3-1.
3-1.
Yeah. Not a 3-0, which is, as you know, is usually the call for a manager to get sacked. But not that 3-0.
But you learn your lesson by doing that.
You're never doing that again, are you? No, I think Celtic will win this one. Going forward, I think they're good to watch. Ralston, is he worthy of a new contract?
Yeah, I think he is. I think he's proved this season that he's a really good player. He's got a new lease of life under the new manager. I think he was a player that most Celtic fans would have been happy to see the back of. I don't think a lot of Celtic fans thought he was good enough, to be honest. He's had an opportunity through circumstances, really. Celtic have not a lot of bodies at the start of the season. He needed to get players in. And now he's playing right back. They've switched Juranovic over to the left-hand side. So he's getting a run in the team. He's playing well. He's got his confidence back. Celtic fans, I think, can trust him now. So I think he's definitely earned a new contract.
Yeah. I was really looking forward to going through to Tynecastle at the weekend there for the game against Dundee. They had a lot of possession, just didn't do a lot with it in that final third. Sometimes just over-expressing themselves or not getting that killer touch. Hearts now are against a team that usually are lock solid in St Johnstone, but you never know what you're getting with them at the moment.
Yeah, I think they have to up their game as well. They're in a position in the league I don't think any of us thought they would be, with their exploits in Europe. Maybe that's taking a toll a wee bit. He's sold on a couple of players, maybe no replacing them with the same quality. But I think, they'll have their sleeves rolled up tonight, and they'll know that when a team in a good run comes visiting, the players generally up their game. So I think they will up their game tonight, and Hearts are playing well. I think St Johnstone might get something out of this one, and I think I've went 1 each.
Yeah, I've gone for a solitary goal for Hearts. If anything, you could never. We picked these in the morning. We predicted everything in the morning. But the one thing I would say, Tam, that I'm not looking forward to, is the weather. Windy, rain lashing down. The wind spoils games.
Spoiled the games last night. I've seen it Ruffy. The championship last night, there was 5-0 nils at half time.
Yeah,
I've never seen that before in Scottish football. So the wind and the rain can make games low scoring affairs. So we've went for a lot of goals obviously this evening.
Yeah.
I think Hearts might nick this game. I don't think St Johnstone are the same team as they were last year. I think they've sold some big players and not replaced them. They struggle to score goals. They are leaking. I mean, you've seen the first goal against Celtic. Callum Booth got to put his foot through it. Poor defending. And I think Hearts will nick that. I went for 2-1 to Hearts.
Yeah, I get a feeling, Ruffy, I don't know about you, but I think Dundee are just that. The last week or so has just been, I think, the catalyst for them to start climbing.
this is a massive game for both clubs. You know, we saw Dundee battling in against Rangers at home. We've seen games that they've lost. And I agree with Charlie. You know, that when you see them, every game they've had at home, they could have taken something at it. But it's okay. Keep saying could have. Tonight's the night. You know, if we're led to believe everything that Malky's been saying, his team is playing well and they're due a win. So whichever one of the two of them gets the win tonight, you know, obviously if Ross County get it, it closes the gap in Dundee. If Dundee get it, it makes it a gap that I don't think Ross County will be able to close. So it'll be interesting to see what Malky says after the game tonight if they do lose this game.
Yeah, well, I think it's so crucial. They need to stay in touch. They'll go 7 points adrift if Dundee were to win it. I think Dundee are going to win it 2-1.
That's a big gap.
Or 2-0.
7 points, 7 points behind the playoff place is a big gap, as Ruffy says, and there was a lot of pressure on Malky Mackay. I agree. I think Dundee have just turned the corner. I think they're now getting the results that their play merited. I think they've got guys up there. Griffiths has got his goal. Cummins has got his goal at the weekend. You said that Sheridan came on and played really well.
Yep.
So they've now got good options up front. You know, guys that are confident. And I think the rest of the team is pretty good with Charlie in there, and they're pretty solid at the back generally. So I fancy Dundee strongly tonight. I think they win 3-1.
Yeah. Sometimes I get accused, Ruffy, because Motherwell's not too far away from our new studios. But it's Motherwell St Mirren. I'm not going. I'm not going there, Ruffy. But I think Motherwell, with Tony Watt in good form, they might have dropped to 6th, but I think tonight they'll end that 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, I think they were disappointed last weekend. Obviously, the Charlie McGrew goal. I think they'd been more than happy taking a point out of that one. I've actually went for the home advantage in this one, and then after I did that, I think St Mirren went there a couple of seasons ago and won that game. And St Mirren are playing well, but I'm only going on the home advantage. And just as you're saying, up front, Motherwell look dangerous. So I think I went Motherwell 2-1.
Yeah, I've gone 2-1.
I was the same. I was going to go for a draw, and then I remembered that Jamie McGrath's out injured, and I just think that will tip it for Motherwell. I think Motherwell were, by all accounts, very unlucky not to get something to Tannadice. I think home advantage. I think they'll sneak it 2-1.
Yeah, okay. The other thing about it, Ruffy, I know you used to do this on a regular basis with Gordon Smith when he used to work for us on the show, but Tam's mastered it now. He's got it down to a T. He just reads the notes. just in case you think Tam is clued up on every injury, he's just reading all the notes that I have in front of me. He's absolutely fantastic.
It's a technique.
Oh, there is, by the way.
It takes you ages to do that. Once you've picked it up, it's a bonus.
Just in case you think he's knowledgeable, you know.
You know how Ruffy picked that one up with Luton Doon?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
What are they looking at stats?
That's Ruffy. Livingston against Dundee United. I cannot, at this moment, separate them. I think Dundee United have been good, but I don't know, maybe Livingston at home, this one, I've got them for a point, Ruffy.
I've got them for a point as well. You know, I think I went one each, and
Same here.
You would think Dundee United are the form side. They're on the winning run, but we all know what it's like when you go to Livy, you know, in particular if the conditions are what we think they're going to be. I think that'll just be a grinding out one each draw.
Yeah, can you imagine Livingston they've won back-to-back games. They win tonight and Aberdeen lose at Ibrox. Livy go above them in the league. I mean, psychologically, that it would be, again, as Alison mentioned on Monday, it's straight back to pressure's on again.
Yeah, it's amazing in terms of Livingston. You know, they started the season very, very poorly. 2 wins in a row. All of a sudden, they're shot up the table, you know, because Ross County are not picking up any points. And as you said, if they can make it 3-0 tonight against Dundee United, they'd be sitting in a lovely position in the mid-table. And Dave Martindale would be, you know, very, very pleased with that. I don't think tonight they'll get anything. I think Dundee United are built. I think they're strong at the back. I think with Edwards, a big boy, Mulgrew, I think they're strong. I think they'll handle the physical battle at Almond Vale tonight. And I think they've got more quality up front in the midfield. So I've went for 2-1 to Dundee United.
Yeah, okay. You can give us your predictions as well. Don't forget, if you love your football and you want to stay in touch with all things Scottish football and beyond as well, you can do by simply subscribing to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. You'll get all the notifications of when we're on live. And also the PLZ Soccer app, you just click on it there, download it in the App Store and Google Play. It's got all the latest breaking news, Scottish, English, European and world football, and in the submissions section you can actually record yourself and it'll drop into our server, and if we use it on the show we'll send you out something nice, but we'll read out as many of your messages as possible, and so many people have sent us lovely messages. Of course, we were talking about the wind and the rain. Bob White says, Peter, I haven't seen rain since January 2020 here in Abu Dhabi. Which leads, could we move the studio to Abu Dhabi, Ruffy? Would you be happy with that?
No, what would happen was we'd be going, it's too warm. It's too warm to play
I don't
football.
think I'd ever say that.
We need some rain.
In Abu Dhabi? Are you kidding me off your nut? That would be incredible. Would you do? Yeah?
All of the heat. Oh.
Have you been to Abu Dhabi?
No.
No, okay then. And of course, somebody says, David says, Ruffy, were you happy with Partick Thistle's draw with Morton last night in the hunt for promotion?
No, we weren't. Obviously, it's okay saying you had 2 shutouts, but it's 2 games we haven't scored. And if you don't win games, you drop points if other people are picking up 3. It's so tight between the top and the bottom. You know, I think anybody in the bottom could beat anybody at the top. So at the end of the day, keep saying about the conditions. I think both teams were just happy to come off the park with a point and not lose the game.
I looked at it last night, the league table, and Thistle are sitting 5th and they're 6 points off the top. So the top 5 in that league are separated by 6 points, and then the bottom 5, I think, are separated by about the same. So it's, I think there's going to be a split. I think the top 5 will fight it out, and then from United down to Dunfermline, I think that will just be a scrap to stay up.
Yeah, I'll be in the press box tonight, Tam. Will you be doing your usual kind of sitting up in the commentary position aloof and then maybe saying hello to people that you know?
I probably will be, aye.
Yeah.
If I see you along with the peasants still, are we reporters and that, I'll just maybe give you a wee, how you doing?
Yeah. Can you see people through that balaclava you were?
Absolutely, you'll see them tonight, by the way. Most of them his mates. Anyway, apart from anything else, thank you to the countless amount of people, thousands and thousands, near and far, who have basically sent lovely messages continuing the tributes to Walter Smith. And M. Somerville says, condolences to the Smith family, friends and fans of Walter Smith. Seems to be a genuinely nice human being. He will live on in the history books forever. He will be forever remembered at Rangers, that's for certain. Tonight will be an emotional night at Ibrox, and I'm sure for those lucky enough to have a seat to watch that game, Rangers against Aberdeen tonight, it will be poignant as well, Ruffy, because when Graham Souness left, Walter had to take the reins and guide them past Aberdeen on many an occasion. Especially I can see Mark Hateley still rising up there to bullet the header in for the title when the Dons could have won it, could have snatched it from them.
Yeah, they certainly did. Obviously Aberdeen come in that day, you know, thinking they were going to do something about it, but obviously Rangers got their tactics right. They identified the young goalkeeper in Aberdeen and gave him a hard time. Yeah. And they won the game. I think it was 2-0, wasn't it? But to get back to tonight there'll be a lot of memories, a lot of people laying stuff at the gate, as we saw today. So the important thing, as you said there, get there early enough, you know, get there and really lap it up there, and for everything the guy's done for the club. Yeah,
absolutely. As we said yesterday, Walter Smith, rest in peace, and of course condolences, thoughts and prayers to his family and the 2 sons that I know well, Stephen and Neil, and Ethel, his wife, and everybody, family and friends of Walter Smith. It'll be an emotional night at Ibrox. Thank you very much to Jonathan Burns, Tommy Burns' son, who paid a lovely tribute to Walter, shared a few laughs, which is exactly what Walter would have wanted. All those great memories. He was a football man. Thanks to Ali Begg as well for joining us on the programme, talking all things Aberdeen. That's what this programme's about. Hit the subscribe button. Thanks to Tam. Thanks to Ruffy. Enjoy your football. Thanks to you for joining us. From myself, Peter Martin. Thank you for watching.